Hi, everybody. Um, let's wait a few more minutes before we start the webinar so that people have a chance to join in. But whoever has joined it, really glad to see so many people here. Um, Today's topic, as you can see from the screen, is anxiety and IPS. I'm sure a lot of people are curious about this topic, right? Because it's not something that we talk a lot about, especially in terms of IBS. So, I think, I hope it's interesting and I hope that you all learn something more. Let's wait a few more minutes, but I'm glad to see so many people here. This is, as you might know now, or if there's somebody new, this is a part of our webinar series that we do every Saturday. The next one is actually a holiday. So, the next one is going to be on the 19th, and that's going to be a webinar from a nutritionist aspect. So, definitely look into that as well. Please attend. I think these webinar series especially, it's so important because IBS in general, there's not a lot of. Oh, my voice is low. I'm so sorry. um can you hear me now? Is this better? Hi, Shanti ji, how are you? It's been so long. I feel like that we have spoken. Hope everything is well. I'll try to be louder. um I don't know why the sound is low, but I try to be louder. Right. So as I was saying, this webinar series I feel like is so important because still a lot of people don't really know a lot about IBS, or at least a lot of the information that's needed to be there from a mental health perspective, from a nutritional aspect. It's not readily available. We don't really know exactly what changes we need to make. So we are all trying to make these webinar series as interesting as possible, to provide new information to prospective patients or current ones. As you can see, we'll start in just a minute. As you can see, our topic today is anxiety and IBS. Hopefully, you learn something new about it. And if you can't hear me, do let me know. I'm trying. I don't know why the sound is low, but I'll try to be louder. Hi, Shivanand sir. How are you? Very nice to see that you're here. We'll just wait like another minute and then we'll get started. Um, Throughout the session, I hope there are certain questions that I will ask, and if not, towards the end of it, we will have like a few minutes where you can ask your specific questions, and I'll try my best to answer them as as well as possible. Um, we'll just start in just like under a minute, like 30 seconds. But as you can see, today's topic is anxiety and IBS, understanding the triggers and effective management strategies. My name is Aishwarya, and I'm a lead coach psychologist working for Daily Bloom IBS. Okay, I think we're good to start. We're good to go. Um, so hi everybody. I'm very happy that you've joined us. As you can see, today's topic is anxiety and IBS. What we're going to cover through this webinar is just like an overview of IBS. I'm sure now you kind of know the basics of it, but just so if there are any new people joining in, so we're going to go over the overview of IBS, and then we're gonna talk about understanding anxiety, gut brain connection, mechanisms of anxiety induced IBS, and the vicious cycle of anxiety and IBS, and then of course going over a few of those management strategies that will help you on the day to day, right? So, understanding IBS, right? So, what is IBS? So, you know very well by now that IBS, which is irritable bowel syndrome, is a functional gastrointestinal disorder. It is like it is often characterized by symptoms such as abdominal pain, bloating, diarrhea, and constipation. There are three major types of IBS, which is IBS-C, IBS constipation, IBS-D, which is IBS diarrhea, and then IBS-M, which is IBS kind of mixed symptoms, where you might have both constipation and diarrhea, or like a combination of those. What's interesting actually is the overlap between IBS and mental health conditions such as anxiety. Studies show that anxiety is actually significantly more prevalent in people with IBS than in the general population, which I think not a lot of people would know, right? And why does anxiety have, or why does mental health and IBS have such a big connection? The answer would be the gut brain axis. The gut brain axis, think of it like it's a communication highway that's connecting your gut and your brain. And it's a two-way street. So messages are constantly being passed from the gut to the brain and from the brain to the gut. And it plays a pretty crucial role in a lot of our processes, right? And this connection is so strong that mental health conditions like anxiety, like stress, they can directly impact your gut health and vice versa. And anxiety is actually very like these days, especially, I think anxiety has increased, right? Because life has become harder, and you may find yourself in situations which are more anxiety provoking than as compared to say 20 years ago, right? And because the gut is actually kind of known as your second brain, because um, it plays a very major role in your physical health and your mental health. I'm sure that whoever is suffering from IBS can actually understand this, like how your gut does impact your entire day, your entire mood. The gut actually has our body is like 90% of serotonin, which is one of the happy hormones, is produced in the gut. So you can imagine if your gut is not doing that great, how impactful it would be on your mood, on being happy, right? And the gut brain axis is a major part in that. So what is anxiety? Here is where I want to know your answer. So what do you think is anxiety? What is the cause for it? If you can give your answers on the chat section. Ajay sir has said fear of unknown, very true. Shivanand sir has said gabrat, overthinking, definitely true. That does cause a lot of anxiousness, the fear of unknown, the fear of future, right? Because we can't predict future. Tejaswani ma'am has said fear of something bad. Very true, very true. It all kind of stems also from the unknown, like from things that are out of our control, right? And yes, Jaya ma'am, very true. Anxiety is a lot of unpredictable situations. Very true. I'm sure that in one situation or another, we have experienced anxiety, all of us, right? And yes, Sanya, very true. It is a natural response to stress. Exactly that. So, what is anxiety? It is a natural response to stress, a feeling of fear or apprehension. So, it can range from mild, wherein it can motivate us to take action, right? So, not all stress or not all anxiety is actually very bad. It can motivate us, but then it can also be severe, where it becomes, it affects your daily life, where you can't do certain things, it affects your daily functioning, and that's definitely not the best kind of anxiety to have, right? um, there are also different types of anxiety. So GAD is generalized anxiety disorder, which involves worrying about different aspects of life, various aspects, not just one concern that you might have. It's generalized. There is also panic disorder, which involves sudden episodes of intense fear. You might have experienced this, where you're feeling so panicky that you can't think straight, because you have this sudden fear of something. There's also social anxiety, which I find that in IBS there's a lot of individuals who suffer with social anxiety, and it's fear of being judged or embarrassed in public. right? So if suppose a person with IBS is thinking, I want to go to this social gathering, but I can't, because what if I experience my symptom, what if I experience diarrhea or abdominal pain, something that requires me to rush to the washroom or something. And that does, it does create this anxiousness within us to be like, oh, I don't want to go. What if people laugh at me? What if I'm embarrassed there? There are also various symptoms of anxiety, and anxiety manifests in different ways for different people, right? There are physical symptoms such as, rapid heartbeat or sweating, sweaty palms. That does happen. There's also trembling, and obviously gastrointestinal concerns like, maybe you might experience cramping, or you might experience, diarrhea. There's also emotional symptoms such as restlessness. You can't sit still because you're constantly like thinking about something, you're overthinking about something. There's irritability, there's constant worrying, and so much worrying that you just can't focus on anything else. And there are many different, these are just a few examples of how anxiety does manifest in a person. And there are very like different kinds of ways that it can do. And that is what my next question is: what ways do you experience anxiety? Overthinking and random negative thoughts, definitely that does happen, especially if you're anxious about a certain thing. Like suppose you have health related anxiousness, then you're going to have these negative thoughts which are associated especially with your symptoms, right? Suppose you feel like your stomach is paining, and you're having these, random thoughts of, oh my god, what if it's something more serious? So that's also a way that your anxiety does manifest. But yeah, definitely looking forward to more answers on what are some kind of, like, some different ways that you experience anxiety. uh Negative thoughts, definitely that does make a lot of sense. Palpitations, definitely. Rapid heartbeats, yes. I'm sure a lot of people have, experienced sweating, especially in situations where a lot of people are there. So suppose you have to go for a job interview, you might find like sweaty hands, right? Stomach cramping, Jayaji, yes, definitely. Sanya has said obsession sometimes, yes, yes, definitely. Because of your anxiety, you're more prone to thinking and overthinking, and just being so focused on something that it can be a little obsessive. Shivanand Sara said stuttering. Yes, that can also happen. Definitely. I'll give you an example of me. So I do also, obviously, I'm a human being, and we do feel anxious, a little anxious or scared, and in different situations. And I remember, at the very start of like the first webinar that I ever gave, I had cold hands because I was like very scared about it, and I was thinking so much about it. So it manifests in so many different ways. Before the exam, I can't sleep and need to go to toilet frequent. Yes, definitely. That is also, yeah. So different answers. See, Rakshit has said thoughts which arise in the morning before waking up and find it hard to decide what should I do next. I obsess over running as I do love running. Different ways. See, like this, I'm sure that if we sit in a room and talk about how we experience anxiety, you will find that there are so many multiple different answers, and all these answers are valid, and all these answers are, important for you to recognize. So now let's talk about mechanisms of anxiety-induced IBS. So how does anxiety actually lead to IBS and vice versa? So first, anxiety alters gut motility, which is the speed at which our food moves through the digestive system. So for some, it might be fast moving, which results in diarrhea, and for some, it might be slow moving, which results in constipation, right? So it affects you in different ways, but it does affect you. Second is increased gut sensitivity. So anxiety can increase your sensitivity, the gut becomes hypersensitive to normal processes as well, such as digestion, or um, it increases sensitivity to pain as well. And there's no exact physical reason sometimes, but because of your anxiety, you might experience more pain, you might experience more discomfort. There's also stress induced inflammation. So um, when you're feeling anxious, or you're feeling or you're in a situation where you feel more anxious, your body goes into a fight or flight mode, right? And that increases your stress hormone, which is cortisol. And chronic stress can inflame the gut lining, which worsens your IBS symptoms and causes more pain and more bloating. There's also this vicious cycle of anxiety and IBS, right? So suppose I'll give you an example. Suppose you're in a situation where um, your work is being affected a lot because of anxiety, and you have to go on like this work, like a whole day of work where you have to do presentations, you have to do a lot of speaking in front of people, and it's not like you're just sitting in a cubicle, you're actually moving around a lot. And that is causing you anxiety, obviously, because you have IBS and you're thinking, oh my God, what if I experience a symptom? What do I do? I'm going to be in a situation where I'm going to be in front of so many people. I'll just embarrass myself. And that is creating that anxiety for you, which has an impact on your gut, which will make you experience IBS symptoms, which in turn will make you more anxious. So there is a lot of just a circle, like a cycle there. And it does affect people in a major way, because this is something that affects you on the day to day, right? So it's essential to manage your mental health and your gut, to make sure that the balance is right, so that you're not stuck in this vicious cycle. So there are many different ways that we can do this. There is cognitive behavioral therapy, which by now some of you might know. It's a talk-based therapy where the framework is how you think influences how you feel, which in turn influences how you behave. So it focuses on recognizing these negative thinking patterns, try to challenge them, and just change the way that you think, which will influence your feeling, which will influence your behavior, right? There's also mindfulness based stress reduction strategies. I'm sure that you all know how important it is to just focus on reducing your stress, because stress is a indicator of like that impending anxiety as well. And life now has become harder, so stress has become a much more common part in our day-to-day life, from all ages, and from school kids to adults and older people. You do experience stress a lot, and it is much more integrated into our daily routine now. So it's very important to focus on it, taking out literally even 15-20 minutes in a day to do some stress reduction techniques will be extremely helpful. There's also meditation practices are very important with regards to your stress reduction, anxiety reduction, but also to just make you more grounded. It makes you more focused on the present, rather than worrying about the future or worrying about the past, right? There's also breathing techniques, very simple, 2-3 minutes breathing techniques throughout the day will definitely help you more in situations where you're feeling anxious, you're feeling stressed, overwhelmed, frustrated, right? So these techniques, while they sound very simple, they do help. The important thing here is to maintain patience and consistency, right? Because if you don't consistently do these techniques, these practices, these breathing exercises, it won't help you as much. So patience, while it's very hard, we need to keep. There's also lifestyle modifications. Obviously, you know that dietary modifications are very necessary. Our expert nutritionists who also have these webinars on alternating Saturdays do talk a lot about this, following a low FODMAP diet and everything. I won't go too in detail about it, because I'm not a nutritionist and I'm not an expert in that field. But do tune in next to next Saturday, that is the 19th, for one of those. Regular exercise extremely helpful. I'm sure a lot of you are have experienced this, where exercise will help you feel a little de-stressed, will help you calm you down a little bit, will help like make maybe help you focus more, calm your mind a little bit, right? In exercise there's also yoga. Yoga is particularly very beneficial for people with anxiety. It involves slow movements and mindfulness, and becoming more grounded and more present. And even light exercise for people who can't do a lot of yoga. If they have some knee pain or back pain or something, they can try light walking, light to moderate walking. That also helps a lot. It improves digestion, it reduces the severity of your IBS symptoms as well. And adequate sleep, like that, I think everybody, not just for IBS in general, is extremely important, and people really need to focus on it. I know that there are a lot of work responsibilities, life responsibilities, family responsibilities, but getting like adequate sleep will always be beneficial for your overall health as well. And our daily bloom plan, it's a 14-week plan where nutrition is an important focus. You will get these personalized diet plans and recipes which incorporate those low FODMAP diets, and you'll get these expert guidance, because as you know, like even if I am somebody who understands a little bit more about IBS, I still won't be able to give myself any insight about nutrition, and those need to come from those expert nutritionists that we have. There's wellness, where we will focus more on your overall mental well-being, will focus on stress management, anxiety, and any other issues that you might have. And we also have a lot of sources, which is yoga videos. Yoga, as I mentioned, is particularly really helpful. There's also different articles. There's things like symptom tracking, which helps us recognize what patterns are there, whether there are food patterns or there are mental health patterns, where we can see what triggers what. And that's why symptom tracking is also very, very useful. And that's it. Let's focus more on some questions now. Rakshit has mentioned 54321 has worked for me at times. Yes, definitely. 54321 is a grounding technique. It's something that helps you focus on the present moment by incorporating all of your senses, which is the eyes, like the sight, the sound, and everything. It's definitely helpful. It's something that I've recommended a lot for people who have anxiety, who have these panic disorders and everything. It just definitely helps. But any questions are welcome. Does treating anxiety completely treat IBS? So I would say, Ajay sir, that IBS is, while not a life threatening issue, it is a lifestyle change issue, and it is also, there's no cure for it, right? But it is so manageable if you make these certain changes. If you focus on diet, if you focus on, if you have anxiety, if you have stress, and incorporate moderate exercise routine, it is extremely manageable. And you can definitely do it. But I won't say it completely treats IBS, because there are other factors in it as well, but at least it won't make it worse, right? And it will definitely help you lessen your symptoms. Any other questions? Hi Aishwarya, how to not overthink when I have to literally think through to make a rightful decisions? See, Rakshit, great question, because I think a lot of people do struggle with, uh, you know, overthinking and negative thinking. So there's a difference between thinking through and overthinking, right? Overthinking tends to only focusing on that decision, only focusing and revisiting your thought process that has led you to make a decision, right? And thinking it through is by making like these very concise, realistic, like decisions based on pros and cons, right? And how not to overthink about it, that actually requires you to use these breathing techniques. Make sure that you're focusing more on the present and not worrying too much about the future, because while making these decisions, we do think, right, okay, how is this decision going to affect my future? How is it going to make it is it going to make it better or worse? So we do tend to think a lot, and while we think a lot, we lose focus on what the actual goal is to make that decision, right? So definitely use those breathing techniques, calm yourself down, bring your mind back to the present, and make these realistic observations about, if I made this decision, what will happen, you know. And for that, you do need to kind of train your mind to recognize these negative thoughts and challenging them and turning them into more realistic thoughts, not even positive. I think it's easier to do it with like more realistic thoughts, and CBD helps with that. Yeah. Another questions, what is the difference between IBS and IBD? I don't know a lot about IBD. I've done mostly, work mostly with IBS, but I'm sure that if you reach out to our customer representatives, they can definitely let you know about the basic distinctions between them. Um, the Rakshit has also mentioned, and meanwhile, before concluding to a decision, I kind of feel anxious. Of course, see, especially if you're making a decision which is important in some kind of way, right? You will feel like that rides a lot on the actual answer, on the decision that I make, and that will make you feel anxious. Which is why I think it's important to recognize that while any kind of decision is very impactful, it's not going to be life or death, right? We need to be realistic about things might go wrong, things might, we can't predict the future, but it's important to, or it's more possible to make like these pros and cons lists कि अच्छा मैंने ये किया तो ये हो सकता है and that's fine, अच्छा मैंने ये किया तो वो हो सकता है. And as I said, breathing techniques always helpful in a pinch. I feel like a lot of stress reduction techniques, while they're simple, they're sometimes 10 to 15 minutes, and we may not be able to focus too much. So first, breathing techniques, simple breathing techniques, like box breathing. Box breathing is something I've also personally used. It's very effective, and yeah, that helps. How do we go about CBT? CBT is, as I said, cognitive behavioral therapy. It's a talk therapy. We have, all the psychologists, including myself, in this program who are working here, are very well trained in CBT, and we do use it almost all the time in sessions. And yeah, you can find a therapist or a psychologist, a counselor that works well with you, understands what you're where you're coming from, and they will lead you through it. Yeah. Another question, IBS triggers affect my sleep. How to overcome the triggers and ensure sound sleep? Sleep is something that does get affected quite a lot with IBS, right? Because if you're feeling discomfort, you're feeling pain, you're feeling you're doing frequent visits to the washroom, that does affect your sleep a lot. So I always suggest that we need to do a certain diet obviously will help with a lot of that as well, and there are certain techniques that are recommended to be done before sleep, right before sleep, so that you are able to have a more restful sleep. And there are other factors such as limiting alcohol, limiting caffeine, limiting smoking. They do affect our entire body as well. Rakshita said box breathing, especially breathing through mouth while keeping it closed, helps wonders. And I think everyone here has to try box breathing. Definitely, box breathing is something I recommend a lot. It's very easy as well. It's hardly like, it's not something that's very difficult to understand. And you can do it for 2-3 minutes, and you'll feel like a good change, like a very good change. It'll calm you down, and it'll may help you relieve a little bit of that anxiousness. Any other questions? We have, I think, 1 more minute, and so I can take like one more question. Can you explain anxiety in terms of what? Is that a half question? So can you explain anxiety in terms of eagerness to do something or something to happen? Hmm. A lot of times, I think anxiety also relates to yourself, like your ability. Like, I want to prove myself, but proving myself is making me more anxious. I want to do something, I am very excited to do it, but I don't want to be a failure. It all comes from that fear of failure as well. That fear of not being the best that I can. That I can also give anxiety. It can also make you feel um, in a situation where suppose you have to do a presentation, and the actual act of doing the presentation might not be as daunting for you, but presenting and making sure that what you've presented is good enough can also produce anxiety, right? Because that you are eager to do it, you're okay with doing it, but you're worried what people are going to think about you in terms of your intellect, right? That can also be anxiety inducing. How to stop bad and negative thoughts, including fear? Hmm. See, firstly, if you're asking this question, that means that you have identified that you do have negative thinking, right? That negative thoughts are there. That's the first step. I think identifying negative thoughts is extremely important. The second thing is to challenge them. A lot of times I do ask my patients to, suppose you're saying your negative example, your negative thought is, if I go out, I'm definitely going to experience a IBS symptom, right? And you're fearful about it, right? And you're thinking, your negative thinking is affecting your feeling, where you're feeling that fear. So you've identified that this is a negative thought. What you can do is challenge it and turn it around, reframe it. What you can say in this situation is, while I may go, if I go out, I may experience that IBS symptom, but I've done this, I've dealt with this before, and I can manage it now. It's more realistic, right? I'm not saying you have to be extremely positive and say ki, not going to experience it at all, but you might experience it, but have that much faith in yourself that you have gone through this situation before, and you're going to make sure that you're able to manage it well. So Anand Sora said, is craving for sugar or junk related food a sign that my brain is looking for outside happiness to increase serotonin levels? That's such a loaded question, I feel like. See, especially if you're on a diet and you're not used to eating certain foods, you're not used to having a little bit of a restrictive diet, and that does indicate that you would have more cravings, right? Because you're not used to it, your body is still adjusting. So it doesn't have to be that that big of a connection ki, like my brain is looking for outside happiness. It could just be that you're adjusting, your body is adjusting, and sometimes it does happen that if you're feeling low, if you're feeling anxious, you might want to eat more junk food. So that there is a connection, I won't say there's not, but yeah, it's a loaded question. Rakshit is asking, it's really hard and vicious when anxiety symptoms are physical. And when we are in a crowd or anything, or around people in a quiet environment like office, etc. Yes, definitely. I think experiencing anxiety is very unpredictable, right? You can have it anywhere. It can be in, as you said, in a public place, in a crowd, on buses, trains, around office, like office people. Yeah, definitely. And it is very hard. It's even more anxious building, like it makes you feel even more anxious that, oh, people are going to judge me, I'm going to have to deal with this in front of people. And that's why I think these grounding techniques, I think, Rakshit, you're the one who mentioned that earlier, where 4532 no yeah 4532 1 grounding technique is very useful, because even if you're in a very crowded situation, you're able to ground yourself a little, calm yourself down a little. So grounding techniques work wonders, whether it's in a crowd or in a alone. Yeah, I think we're done for the questions. Really glad to see so many people here, and I hope that you learned something more, or at least you learned that what you're experiencing is actually anxiety, and it is impactful in terms of your IBS. And yeah, thank you so much for attending the webinar, and I hope to see you all for the next one, which is on the 19th. It's from a nutritionist perspective, so please join for that as well. Yeah. Okay, bye bye, thank you.